Maybe I would like to touch the elephant in the room first, because to most of the people, when you speak about drones, probably the first brand will come like DJI. Okay,
Yep.
we know what's happening in the United States. I think we can look at it from two different angles. One is like legal stuff around it, and the second is like, what do you think is happening on the background? So maybe if you can just walk us a bit through like what's happening there, like in legal way.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna take a little bit of a different approach towards it. Some may take it as a bit controversial, but I think it's more of a logical approach where, look, I understand why certain industries or certain companies are pushing forth certain legislation to block or restrict or just make it a little bit more difficult for our foreign competitors to compete within our own market. Now, am I for that? Not necessarily, right? Because we're basically grown on like a capitalist market, right? We like to have a fair and open trade. However, when it comes to, we'll call it the critical infrastructure, military, and really anything that has to do at a high government level, and I'm not talking about doing just basic mapping of streets and anything. I'm talking about things that have to do with saving human lives, doing short range reconnaissance, doing any military operations. We should not be dependent on a foreign entity or a foreign company's components to be alongside with us. Are they a bit more superior in terms of the capabilities? Yeah, absolutely. Are they a bit more cost effective? Actually, a whole lot more cost effective. But when it comes to my industry, with the commercial and industrial side, it does make it a bit of a challenge for us to do that. And over the last, we'll call it 2 years, there's been a lot of change, and there's a big piece of legislation that, or basically a big bill that just got pushed through on the FCC side back in December that quote unquote bans DJI, right? This is the main brand in the drone industry. I mean, they control about 85% of the global markets when you think about a consumer or an enterprise drone. But then when you think about the military side and the private sectors, right, there's a whole lot of other competitors in that space. And DJI is still very dominant in that, not just in the United States, but globally.
Mm.
So a lot of that has been a fight towards bringing a lot of, well, one, manufacturing back to the United States, which I think is good. It's a good thing for us to do that. It creates more jobs, it creates more opportunities for people to get into robotics and really the manufacturing side of the industry, right? That was something that we were so proud of when we were manufacturing our own vehicles. And we're trying to get back towards that with all of these new AI data centers, even though that's not manufacturing. There's a lot more manufacturing that's coming onto the tech side. So that's one side of it. The other side is, well, what about us, right? What about people like you and me that don't care about that or don't even operate in that regard? It puts us into a very tricky position. And as it stands right now, you still are legally able to purchase a DJI system as long as it has its FCC certification and fly it on projects. I'm sitting on over $300,000 or $400,000 worth of DJI equipment here that I am using weekly with my clients, and it's 100% legal to do. However, we're starting to face some of these restrictions coming into play where I am now having to outsource or even source specific US components or companies here in the US that have built US drones or US sensors to go and complete some of these projects. And that creates a huge price barrier. And in some cases, it's a 4 to 5x price barrier. So I know I'm going a little bit of a tangent here, but I'm kind of explaining how all of these things work on the back end, right? Because on the front end, you see all of these articles, whether it's on LinkedIn or a news article, DJI drones or Chinese drones banned from the United States. It's illegal to fly. And there's a lot of misinformation that exists. I get hundreds of comments every single day across all of my content saying, oh, well, you're flying something illegal. You can't do this. You can't do that. When in reality, there is a legal path that still exists.
If I
Everyone is
understand
on it.
right, the FCC certification is about the new technology incoming, right?
Yeah.
So like the
Yeah.
current drones and current
They're fine. They're totally fine.
approved, you can fly them, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
it's all it is. It's a licensed certification for the radio signals or the radio waves to work between the controller and the drone. That's all that it really comes down to. It has nothing to do with any of the other components on it, even though they are extending it towards that, which I don't think is right, but that's just kind of the
Is
state
it-
that we're
is
in.
is there a difference between commercially used drones, so probably like the division of DJI Enterprise compared to the consumer drones, or
For the FCC licensing,
yeah,
no, it's just a blanket, right? So DJI as an entity as a whole, whatever their FCC licenses that are currently standing, whether it's something like a DJI Mini or all the way up to a DJI M400,
hmm
they all have to go through the same certification process.
hmm
So that there is no difference between the two. Obviously, the difference is a $1,000 drone and a $10,000 drone, but it's really a price factor in that sense.
Is there currently a drone from DJI that you already think that would be good to have and is not approved in United States?
Well, currently everything that's come out from DJI is approved here. Even the new Avata 360, you can purchase it here and legally fly it, as far as I know. But if there are any new DJI drones that are coming out, which we know that there are, because they're just like Apple, they have something new every single year, or at least 4 new things every single
Yeah.
year. Um, there's things in the pipeline. Right now, it's uncertain, right? There are current certifications that exist for drones that haven't come out yet. So, a lot of people are banking on the fact that, all right, well, those certifications are going to be applied towards these new drones for the next 2 or 3 years. But
hmm
again, we don't know that.
I have seen also some discussions or like conspiracy about was Skydio company doing some shit behind it and just lobbying against the DJI. Do you think it's really possible? Because I think that the DJI is too big. Like they can pay whatever and deal with whoever. I think all
Yeah.
over the world. So
I'm going to try to not sound like a politician here, because I've got friends all throughout the industry. And, a lot of them are in certain positions that kind of bring unfortunate attention. I think indirectly, there have been things that Skydio has done that a lot of the commercial industry is just not fond of. Um, whether it is backing a bill or paying a lobbyist, right? But I actually made an entire video about this that I posted back in November. It's about a 3 hours and 45 minute, we'll call it a documentary, that goes kind of behind the scenes and looks at all of the US drone manufacturers that exist. But I also have right in the beginning of the video, I talk about what things are and really who the proponents are. I also made a second video talking about the whole DJI ban that goes a little bit more in depth about how and who and what and where the money has been flowing. And in fact, DJI has actually put in way more money than Skydio in the lobbying efforts. So if people want to play the finger pointing game at, oh well, they spent this amount of money, well, guess what? So has everybody else. That's just the game that is played on the global economics when it comes to companies that are manufacturing goods and even services, especially in the tech industry. So
mm,
kind of yes and no. Skydio, I wouldn't say is the ultimate or the only company to quote unquote point a finger at that has put efforts or at least money towards making it difficult for DJI to operate here with the United States. There's a ton of other companies that have also done the same.
mm, mm.
Now,
Uh,
it's not as easy
yeah.
as it seems on paper.
In the beginning, you mentioned like the approach or the point of view from the case of the defense, and let's say the ability to not rely on a foreign entity and foreign technology, right? So, do you think that, especially with what we can see all around the world with wars and everything else, do you think that especially now this should be like a primary line of how to look at this and just do it no matter what? Because like if US just ban DJI drones at all, it will probably move prices up, technology for a few years maybe a little bit down. So how do you see the approach here?
Well, here's the thing. If for whatever reason the US decides today, DJI drones, no longer. We're pulling all FCC licenses. We're doing all that. It will single-handedly collapse the entire drone industry in the United States. And the way that I actually explain the drone industry, we're not a primary industry. We're a sub-industry of many primary industries, right? We're just a
Mm,
tool. That's all we are.
mm.